We are here today with Katy Widrick, who is going to talk about some really important under the hood updates that you should make to your blog this summer. Hey, Katy.
Hey, Nicole. It's always so great to talk to you, and I love talking to your audience. So
oh my gosh, I'm so excited. You are back for like everything I do. So just in case they don't know you, can you just tell them who you are and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Katy Widrick, and I am an old school blogger. I launched my first blog in 2007, and now 10 years later, I am in the business of helping other bloggers and small business owners. As I know your audience can tell, the game has really changed from life casting to really kind of more sharing expertise and tips and tutorials. And I know that a lot of people who are probably tuning into this are looking for ways to take work that they've been doing over the last few years and really step it up and to make sure that that work continues to pay off for them so that they can then focus on maybe shifting their business strategy, changing their focus, and just continuing to be awesome. So my whole business is called Make Media Over, and what I do for clients is really, it kind of runs the gamut. I do everything from website audits to search engine optimization audits to ghostwriting, helping build newsletter strategies, everything from A to Z, and it's a blast. I love it.
Yay. So tell us what you're going to talk to us about today.
Yeah, so you and I were talking about some of the most common questions that I get as a service provider. And one of the number one ways that people find me is because they have either broken their website or they know that their website is underperforming, but they're not sure where to start fixing it. So they hire me to do these big website audits, front end, back end, look for issues, fix them. And the truth is, some of the things that I find from every blog, whether it's 1 million page views a month or 100 page views a month, there's so many things that people miss that you can fix on your own. It'll take you 5 to 10 minutes. And I know that the whole thing that you're trying to encourage people to do is this summer get their blogs in shape so that when the traffic really starts ramping back up this fall, that they know that the framework of their website is solid. So I'm going to share some of the tips that I think hopefully everyone listening to this can take away and can start working on this summer. So you ready to go?
I'm so ready. And
okay. I'm super excited. And again, these are things, it's funny because I know a lot of people are always worried about sharing secrets. Well, you and I are really of the same mind that when you kind of share what you have learned, we all, I guess, get value from that. And ad nauseum, I believe that a rising tide lifts all ships.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things, frankly, I would love to stop doing on behalf of clients because they will be able to do it on their own. Okay. So as promised, these are 3 under the hood updates to make to your blog. I'm sure that other people this summer and other people in your group, other speakers, are going to be talking about things that you can do on the front end and social media strategy, and that's all fantastic. But I really do want to talk about the framework, the foundation. Don't get scared. If you're thinking that I'm going to be talking about heavy-duty coding or development, it's not that. These are basic upkeep.
Yeah. So wait, I can't see the slides though. I can see your back end of your plugin.
Oh, that's exciting. Now you can look at some of the cleanup work I've been doing on my own site. Here, let me switch that. See, look, even those of us that do this for a living, Nicole, as you know,
yeah,
kind of plagued. So look, maybe I did that on purpose to show you guys how to fix things. Okay.
I still can't see it though. I see.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to stop sharing and then try to share a different screen. Let's see. Aha, I think this is it.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, well, so there you go. Inadvertently, I gave you a preview of some cleanup work that I was actually doing on my website on katywidrick.com. And funny enough, cha-la-la, number 1 tip is do a full plugin audit. It's like we planned it, Nicole.
Yeah, totally.
and honestly, remember I just said these are things that you can do in minutes. I knew that I had about 5 minutes before our call was going to start, and I saw that I had updates waiting for me in my plugin dashboard. So I went through and I started working on those updates. So my number 1 tip for under the hood updates is to do a full plugin audit. Now, some of your listeners may not be on WordPress, and so I want you to take the spirit of this. If you're on Squarespace or Wix or you're on WordPress.com, Blogspot, whatever it is, even though I'm using the term plugin, and I do tend to have a bias toward WordPress websites because I imagine most of the people in your audience are already self-hosted on WordPress, please don't think that this is only something you can do if you're on that platform. But plugins, as people in your audience know are essentially the tools and the apps and the shortcuts that you can use, upload, activate on your website to do everything from change the layout, change the design, add social bookmarking tools, add newsletter fields, essentially everything under the sun. But let me tell you a secret. When I look at client websites, I often see 50 plus plugins that are loaded onto a website. Okay, and Nicole, you know I'm kind of looking at you too.
I know.
You and I have talked about plugin cleanup, not only for your own sites, but for clients. Mm-hmm. Here's why this is important. I want you to consider these things. Deactivating plugins that you no longer use, that are not serving you, and that do not fit your mission statement. If you deactivate plugins because they're unneeded, I want you to delete them. If there is a plugin that you have installed that you know that you need, let's say it's a social bookmarking service, or again, a newsletter field plugin, you know you need something, but the one that you have is not serving you well, or it's not up to date, or it's broken, replace it with something better. And then the final step is to actually set up and go through all of the settings of the plugins that you keep on there. Here's why this is important, Nicole. Number one, it's a security issue. I'm kind of giving you a preview of what number 3 of the under the hood updates is going to be. But when developers create these plugins, it's all this kind of heavy duty code, right? We think it's so easy. You just find something, you upload it, you activate it, it works. But the developers have done a lot of code to make that plugin work. Well, every line of code can have an issue. It could just be as simple as a conflict. Maybe there's just one bad character in that plugin, and when you have it installed and then a second one and they don't play well together, your whole website can break, or you can have major issues. So that's one reason to keep them updated. Developers are constantly updating their own code to make it better, to make it work with each other and fix problems. The other thing about having plugins that are active on your site but not updated is that hackers can get in, and it's a major security issue. So you want to make sure that you review your plugin list often. If there's an update available, use it. Now, the caveat to that is when I do this on behalf of clients, I take the extra step of going into the plugin forums and making sure that there are no known issues, that people aren't reporting problems. So when I say update it, if you want to hold off a few days or a week, I think that's totally fine, but please do not hold off any longer than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm
okay.
So guilty of this.
And again, I'm sharing things that I have done poorly, that some of my favorite, best, amazing clients have done poorly, because we're all focusing on creating great content and doing things of value for our audience. These are not the fun, sexy things about blogging, right? Like, no one is excited to audit and update plugins, but it's a necessary step, and I promise you it will help your website perform better. It will prevent you from having things that are in conflict, and it will definitely protect you from security issues. So again, that final step of setup, that's the one too that I want people to take away. In particular, things like the Yoast SEO plugin, which is one of the most popular and one of my favorite plugins. I am constantly looking at that. It's installed, but people have not taken the 5 minutes to go through the configuration wizard or go through the settings themselves. So they're missing opportunities to put in things like their social handles or their website title, all of these things that are so crucial to helping Google understand what your website is all about and match up all of your different platforms and kind of tie it into your brand. It's so easy. You do not have to be a developer. You literally just have to copy your website or your social platform URL into it. But I would say 80% of my clients miss that step. So go through the setup process. All right, you ready for number 2?
Totally ready.
Okay, now this one I'm cheating a little bit, because you might look at this number 2 tip, check your social bookmarking and sharing tools, and think, Katie, that's a front end audit. That's not an under the hood thing. But when I'm talking about going into your settings and making sure, again, that they are fully filled out. So things like Shareaholic, Social Warfare, which is my preferred sharing tool. There are 5 or 10 others that I know are pretty popular. More often than not, when I go in and audit the front and the back end of a client's website, I'll notice that things like their Twitter handle is not filled out. So that if somebody clicks the Twitter button on a post to share it, it will either not have your personal handle at all, or it will annoyingly have the plugin name.
Yeah.
For example, like Shareaholic, when I test sites that use Shareaholic, Shareaholic's no dummy. They put in @Shareaholic or @ShareThis or whatever tool you're using. They will have that pre-filled out so that if somebody clicks it, they get credit for it too. Why do that? Make sure that your handle is filled out. It takes 5 seconds to do. And the social bookmarking and sharing tools, as I'm certain your other speakers will talk about, they are so crucial in making it easy for your audience to share your content, your valuable posts to their own audiences. So make sure you really leverage those opportunities. And this is, again, kind of a preview of number 3 with the security issue. The social bookmarking tools have gotten better in many ways, and some of them have gotten worse. Now, I know that Shareaholic is a very popular plugin. I used it on my sites for years and years and years, but I don't recommend it to my clients anymore for a number of reasons. Number one, you sort of have to know to opt out of monetization, and so there will be things like ads or rev shares that are in the sharing bookmarks that most of us really don't want. I also find that it tends to slow down websites if it's not set up properly. So Social Warfare, I mentioned, is a plugin that I absolutely value, respect, and recommend to my clients. One of the nice things about Social Warfare is that there are a couple of things that are built in. Number one, there's the option to essentially hide a pinnable image, which I know a lot of your audience is going to be in the food blogging space or tutorial space, and we all do those long vertical images. If you don't like that being stuck in the middle of your post or at the end of the post, Social Warfare has the option to actually upload the image, totally customize the social message, but not embed it in the post. So that's one of the reasons I really like it. The other reason is that it also has things like click to tweet built into it. You can style the buttons. You can choose from a number of different colors and all of your icons. And I just find that Social Warfare is one of the best and most SEO-friendly, search engine optimization-friendly plugins for social bookmarks. So look at the market. Don't be stuck with the one that you have. Make sure that you are really kind of going back to number one and saying, could I replace what I'm using now with something better? All right, number 3. Okay, Nicole, this is my bugaboo. This summer is the time to look at your security and your backup system on your blog. Nicole and I have shared our stories. We have been hit by hackers. We have had our websites broken.
Both websites, 2 websites, twice I've had.
It's crazy. Come on. Yeah, I lost 5.
Yeah.
So, the short version, I work in web development. My job is security. I check everything. I have it locked down, Nicole. And still some international hacker was able to get into my database, delete every file, every image, every theme, every post. Everything was gone from 5 websites that I had on one hosting account. And then they redirected all of my sites to their international e-commerce site. Now, the good thing is that I had backups, and so it took me a matter of 5 hours to reverse the damage. It was hugely stressful. It was super annoying, but it was not expensive. And at the end of the day, I had everything backed up. I have never been so thankful for my years of backups and security, because even though it happened to me, I was able to reverse it. So even though I say security and backups, the priority is actually the reverse. Make sure you have a strong, secure backup. I'm going to talk about that in more detail in just a minute. The other thing, again, is security. And there are a lot of plugins that are out there. Some are better than others. So again, this is a chance that maybe you take 5 minutes and look at the plugin website, or you ask your friends, or you ask a developer, hey, what are the plugins that you trust for security? There are a number of options. One of the most popular and one of the ones that I use on a lot of client websites is called WordFence. Essentially what WordFence does is it is a free plugin. There are some premium upgrades, but the free plugin is a great one to start with, and it will constantly look for traffic to your website and try to ferret out or filter out any known issues. So, if all of a sudden it sees that one country has an IP address or a visitor that's trying to get onto your site, or maybe they're trying to log into your admin page, they're trying to actually get into the back end of your site, WordFence will block them and alert you so that you can say, no, actually that's my cousin over there in Russia trying to log in, no problem. So you can essentially whitelist it, or you can say, man, no, I'm getting hit. I really need to make sure that things are safe. So WordFence is a great one. If you find yourself with a malware issue or anything like that, Security is another great platform, and we can make sure that these are listed so that your audience can see the links, can get some of my vetted sources. But Security, make sure that you are doing everything you can to keep the bad guys out of your website. And then if they get in, or maybe not even so nefariously, if you take my advice in number one and you update a plugin and your site crashes, or if you try to do a little bit of code work on your website and the site crashes, you can feel confident that you have a backup. So where I say, imagine you wake up and your site is totally gone, that's not hypothetical. You and I have had that happen. So take our advice, and this summer, make sure that you are doing everything you can. One final note on that backup, Nicole, one of the things that people ask me a lot is, well, doesn't my host do backups? A lot of hosts do. They will either offer you a free daily or weekly or monthly backup, or they will charge you a premium service. I don't like to rely on that because, number one, you really don't have control over when and how those backups are done. Sometimes it's not your full website. It's what's called the database. It's all the text from your posts and pages, but maybe not your uploads folder. So, I mean, if you got your backup, but none of your images were available, you'd be in a lot of trouble. So you want to make sure that you understand what is being backed up. The other thing is that even when a host does it, particularly on these free backups, and again, a lot of hosts will try to use that to entice people. The free backups are perfectly fine, but when you need it, they will charge you to restore it. And you might actually spend hundreds of dollars to have them restore your website when you could be spending $5 a month to do a backup service that will allow you to one-click restore it. The backup service that I use, love, recommend to all of my clients is called VaultPress. Again, it starts at $5 a month. It's part of WordPress developers' services and creation. So you know it's really good. It's constantly updated. And the best part about VaultPress, and there are some other options, but the best part is that it's not stored on your server. So that's the next and I guess final tip that I will say on backups. If you use a service, make sure that they are not storing the backups on your hosting server, because those are massive files and you will very quickly start to get warnings from your host that you're using too much space. And you might say, well, I don't upload big photos. I don't have a lot of stuff. I just started blogging a month ago. It's likely because the backup itself is being stored on your servers. Things like VaultPress, and again, there are some other services that we can recommend. They store them on totally separate servers, so that's a non-issue. So those are my 3 under the hood updates. Do you think those are doable for your audience this summer?
I totally do. And I just have one more thing to add about the backups, because when I got hacked, I had a backup from my host, and that was corrupted too. So it did me actually zero good to have that backup. And I thought that was before I started working with you. So I didn't know. So now I have VaultPress at your recommendations.
Well, and the timing is never good. If I recall, I was on vacation, you were traveling, you had all this stuff going with business, and you and I are trying to text each other to solve this. And it's so stressful. Again, if you use the security steps, you will decrease your likelihood of having a bad day. But if the bad guys get in, or again, if you just totally innocently break your own site, I can't tell you how many times I've broken sites. My sites, my client sites, you learn to fix it. And if you have the confidence that you have this backup, I would hope that it would empower you to do things like start to play around with code, maybe change the layout of your website, feel like you can really take control of your website. And if you break it, you fix it.
Yes, for sure. And I'm so glad you brought up that, because the backup thing is what I see inside my community all the time. And I always encourage them to fix it before something happens. So exactly. Those are awesome updates. And I don't even have any questions for you, which never happens.
Well, I did want to give your audience one more kind of gift, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so one of the things that I do at Make Media Over is I do a full website SEO audit service. It costs a lot of money. It's kind of time consuming, right? And a lot of people hire me to do it. I love that. I don't want to discourage people from outsourcing. You and I both know that when something is not your jam, it's not your skill set, it's a great idea to outsource it. So don't think that I'm telling you not to hire me or not to hire another service provider. But in the spirit of really kind of taking back control, empowering yourself to do this, I've put together an interactive checklist, and it is literally the step-by-step checklist that I use when I'm auditing clients. It's a free download. If you go to makemediaover.com/website audit, you'll see there's a sign up box. If you drop your name and your email address in there, you'll get my free download. Again, it's an interactive PDF. So as you go through the steps of your own website, you can check off what you've done and come back and make sure that you kind of, work on this through the summer or through the fall even. And then I'm going to give you a few more tips, things that I commonly see with clients. I'll get into more detail about the social bookmarking, backups, things like that.
Awesome. And that link will be right below the video. So they can just click that and then they can get your interactive checklist, which is awesome. And if they do decide that they would like to hire you for that, where can they contact you?
Yeah, so if you go to makemediaover.com and you look for the services tab, you'll learn a little bit more about what I do. And there's also an option to drop your information in there, and then I'll send you a little questionnaire and we'll get a customized project together. And even when I work with clients, Nicole, I love doing this. I love finding, I think sometimes when you are too close to your own website, even with the checklist, it can be hard to catch some of these things. So whether it's me or another blogger in the community, this is a great task to sort of trade out or barter. If one of you is really good at something and the other is great at something else, I love seeing when people trade these services. But if you do find that you need more help, or if you do something and you get stuck, feel free to reach out, and what we can do is I can help you work through it together. A lot of people will just hire me and say, I don't want to deal with it, and that's great. But if you feel like you want to do it and you just need your hand held, reach out to me at makemediaover.com and I'd be more than happy to do that.
Perfect. And I love that idea of just finding a buddy and doing some website audits on yourself. So we can talk about that in the Facebook group as well. Thank you so much. You're always so helpful, and I love the whole message of just empowering everyone to just take control and do it themselves.
It's my pleasure. And I can't wait to be taking part in with everything that the speakers are talking about. I have enough work to do on my own websites, and I learn something every time I'm part of one of your projects. So thanks, Nicole, for doing this.
Thank you. And I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you in the Facebook group.
Bye.
Bye.